Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here are today's top stories. A man set himself on fire outside of a New York courthouse. Inside, Trump's so-called hush money trial wrapped up jury selection. Not homeless anymore, one man built a makeshift house along the Los Angeles freeway, gaining national attention. A court battle between a California group and the Attorney General. They argue Attorney General Rob Bonta misled the public about their ballot initiatives. Earlier today, a man set himself on fire in New York. He was just outside the courthouse where Trump's so-called hush money trial was wrapping up jury selection. Just a warning, some of the following footage may be disturbing. A witness on the scene said he heard the man throwing pamphlets into the air and then saw him douse himself from a can and lit himself on fire. Police later identified the man as Maxwell Azurio from Florida. A group of people, including several police officers, rushed over to put out the flames with the fire extinguishers. The man was sent to a hospital by first responders and is in critical condition. Police say there is no threat to public safety. The incident is under investigation. This scene came as a jury selection for Trump's trial wrapped up inside the courthouse across the street. 5 remaining backup jurors were sworn in this morning. Police say everyone inside the court was informed of the fire incident. Opening statements are expected to begin on Monday. Over at Congress, Representative Paul Gosar is now the 3rd Republican House member to back the effort to remove Mike Johnson as House Speaker. Arizona Representative Gosar said in a statement Friday morning, "We need a speaker who puts America first." Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene filed the motion to vacate against Johnson last month. Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie co-sponsored that motion earlier this week. The trio of Republicans disagreed with Johnson advancing aid for Ukraine without gaining support for a bill aimed at securing the U.S. southern border. Gosar's support for ousting Johnson comes as Democrats helped Republicans this morning advance $95.3 billion in aid for Israel, Ukraine, and the Indo-Pacific. It also includes a measure that could ban TikTok. Final votes for the foreign aid package expected to occur this weekend. If passed, they will be sent to the Senate, which is expected to take up the measures early next week. We have the latest from the conflicts in the Middle East. Both Israel and Iran have a muted response to the airstrikes on Iran last night. Israeli officials have neither confirmed nor denied being responsible for the airstrikes. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has not spoken. Israeli President Isaac Herzog delivered a video speech earlier today, but did not mention the strikes. Instead, he focused on the hostage crisis. Israel gave a last-minute warning to the U.S. about the drone strike on Iran. The U.S. denied involvement in the strike. Apple said today it removed Meta Platforms' WhatsApp and Threads from its App Store in China, after being ordered to do so by the Chinese regime. The app tracking firm says Telegram and Signal were also removed from the store today. Removing the apps suggests China's increasing fear of foreign messaging services beyond its control. It also signals less leeway for Apple in China. Apple said China ordered the removal of the apps over national security concerns. These apps and many foreign apps are normally blocked by Chinese networks by the Chinese regime's extensive system of censorship. Some experts on China's tech industry said the order could be related to a new rule. It requires all apps in China to register with the government or risk being removed. A large homeless encampment has emerged near the 110 freeway in Los Angeles, catching the eyes of passing drivers and local residents. NTD's Christina Corona has more from Highland Park.
A man has built a makeshift home along the 110 freeway and Arroyo Seco here in Highland Park. He has working electricity, a garden, and even a barbecue area, all made from items that other people have discarded.
The impressive structure stands out among dozens of makeshift shelters along Arroyo Seco, capturing viral attention this past week. This home is complete with a front door, a walkway, a stone wall, and even a hammock. Alejandro Diaz, who moved to the U.S. from Guatemala Guatemala around 8 years ago, told Fox 11 that he has been living in the makeshift house for the past 2 years. His makeshift home includes Dodgers decor and an area for newly planted flowers and trees. He also told Fox his dwelling contains a bed, a television, and extension cords for power from a streetlight. A toilet is also present but lacks running water. While several people online agreed that Alejandro did a pretty good job of making the most of what was available to him, not everyone living in the area is happy about it.
As interesting as it is, I think it's a bit of an eyesore. I mean, it's unique that it's there, but on balance, if everyone were to do it or every homeless person were to do it, I think it would be a problem. I think there should be some shelters for the homeless.
Vito says he walks his dog along the river every day where the encampment is located.
But it's hard not to look at it for a while. It seemed like it's spread out quite a bit. I mean, it looks like it's probably, a good 150 feet. He's got his home and some other makeshift kinds of structures there, and even some landscaping. So this is an interesting site.
Following Mayor Karen Bass giving her State of the City address this week, Los Angeles City Councilwoman Eunices Hernandez posted on X, "It's in the city's best interest to come up with a long-term solution to our housing and homelessness crisis that champions permanently affordable housing for all."
Officials said they are working toward finding a solution to the homeless encampment here at the Arroyo Seco next to the 110 freeway. Christina Corona, NTD News, Highland Park.
San Francisco is suing Oakland over a plan to rename their airport. San Francisco says it violates their trademark rights and will cause confusion. NTD's Jason Blair reports.
San Francisco City Attorney David Chu filed the lawsuit on Thursday in a federal court. Oakland hasn't officially made the change, but Oakland port officials unanimously approved a plan to do so on April 11th. It would change the name from Metropolitan Oakland International Airport to San Francisco Bay Oakland International Airport. San Francisco, whose airport is named San Francisco International Airport, alleges that Oakland's planned new name is a trademark infringement, will cause confusion, and could hurt San Francisco's reputation and bottom line. David Chu posted on X, quote, "We had hoped Oakland would collaborate with us on alternative names to avoid litigation, but they refused to engage. San Francisco has no choice but to file a lawsuit to protect SFO's trademark." Oakland International Airport spokesperson Robert Bernardo told the San Francisco Chronicle that he doesn't think the change will cause confusion. And, quote, "This has nothing to do with San Francisco. No one can deny the geographic fact that Oakland is located on the San Francisco Bay." Jason Blair, NTD News.
A California group is battling the Attorney General in court today. They say Rob Bonta misled the public and sent biased language about their ballot initiatives over parental notification and transgenderism. NTD's David Lamb reports.
Parents and supporters of a ballot measure want their initiative to be titled Protect Kids of California Act instead of the Attorney General's Restrict Rights of Transgender Youth. They say that is a biased summary. A lawyer representing supporters of the measure says it's an abuse of the Attorney General's power to oversee these ballot measures where he's legally obligated to be neutral and draft a title and summary that's impartial. The grassroots group submitted their initiatives in August 2023 to be placed on this year's November ballot. It's endorsed by women's sports activist and former NCAA swimmer Riley Gaines and is asking for 3 things. Require schools to notify parents when their children under 18 wants to socially transition genders in school settings, have gender-specific bathrooms, and only allow females to participate in girl sports for grades 7 and up, and prohibit puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and transgender surgeries on minors. Bonta has been critical of similar laws, saying, "My office will continue to stand up against efforts seeking to jeopardize the rights of our most vulnerable communities." The debate is part of a nationwide issue over local school districts and the rights of parents and LGBTQ+ students. The proposal so far received at least a quarter of the more than 500,000 signatures it needs by May 28th to end up on the ballot in November, according to the Secretary of State's office. But supporters say the language Bonta released hinders their ability to garner enough support before time runs out. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. In Hawaii, Maui officials have reviewed their performance after last year's wildfire. Find out how they say they plan to improve. Spring is here, flowers are blooming, and so are weeds. But it turns out some have healing properties. Our herbalist shares which weeds are actually herbs. A monumental investment in the world of sports, Fedex is giving millions to support college sports in Memphis, Tennessee. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. In Hawaii, Maui fire officials revealed their performance after last year's deadly wildfire. Here's what they say they intend to improve on.
Fire officials in Maui County discussed an external agency review of their performance during the raging Hawaii wildfires last year that destroyed more than 3,900 buildings and displaced thousands of people. Maui County Fire Chief Brad Ventura discussed broadly some areas where his department sought to improve in light of the after-action report.
Here are a few areas that we've identified for improvement. First one's to fully stock our relief apparatus. Second is to create a statewide mutual aid program. Third is to create a communication plan to evacuate visitors and residents who speak different languages.
Among the challenges the department faced were poorly stocked fire engines, hydrants that lost water supply, and a lack of mutual aid agreements between Hawaii counties and limited equipment. The preliminary report also describes a breakdown in communication between police responders, firefighters, and emergency officials after cellular networks went down. Both the police and the fire departments had to communicate using their handheld or car radios on closed channels that public officials and others could not listen to. Meanwhile, a stretched and limited dispatch center had single operators monitoring 5 or 6 channels at a time to keep up with what was happening on the ground. Inoperative cell towers left residents and tourists with few options to receive emergency alerts like evacuation orders.
After-action reviews are deliberate and systematic endeavors to capture what lessons can be learned, both by the responding agencies and by the emergency services more broadly.
The fire caused more than $5.5 billion in property damage.
As spring unfolds and flowers blossom, so do the weeds growing in the yard. Or are they all merely a nuisance? Or are some of these plants actually healing treasures harnessing the power of nature's pharmacy? Helen Billings hears more from the herbalist.
Well, it's springtime and there's weeds growing in the yard. But is it time to pull them or harvest them? We talked to Cami McBride, an herbalist for 35 years, who said that some of those plants actually have healing properties.
People call them a weed, but they're highly medicinal plants and they grow. You don't even have to plant them. And so my 4 favorite are chickweed, dandelion, plantain, not the banana plantain, and violet.
McBride says dandelion is highly nutritious, full of beta-carotene, iron, vitamin C, potassium, and calcium.
Dandelion is one of our bitter herbs, and bitter herbs stimulate the digestive tract, okay? So it really increases the flow of bile, it supports the liver, and helps you to digest and absorb nutrients.
McBride says plantain helps reduce itching and inflammation, and it's one of the best herbs for bug bites.
I've taught all the children in my life to chew on plantain, put it on the bee sting, and they just go, oh my gosh, it hurt, now it doesn't.
McBride says chickweed has a soothing quality and reduces inflammation. It can help with skin ailments like boils, eczema, and psoriasis.
Chickweed is high in vitamin C, zinc, potassium, magnesium, calcium, selenium. It's an incredible nutritive herb to get into your diet in the spring.
McBride says that violet helps with the movement of lymph through the lymphatic system and that it's good to drink as a tea. She added that the best way to take these herbs is to put them into your food.
That way you don't have to worry about dosage at all. It's like you make pesto out of them. You chop them up, you mince them up finely and put them in your salad. Or when you're making a soup or a smoothie, you throw in a cup of these wild greens.
McBride says her life has been one of reclaiming the tradition of using herbs for health and healing.
I really believe that every family, every community needs to have somebody that's engaged in really learning how to implement herbal medicine, natural remedies, so that we can become more empowered, not have to rely on the pharmaceutical companies.
She urges people to seek help and references because you need to be 100% sure that you're picking the right plant. In California, Helen Billings, NTD News.
The busiest airport in the world based on passenger traffic were ranked by Airports Council International. 5 of the top 10 airports are located here in the United States. NTD's Jason Blair reports.
On Sunday, the preliminary ranking was released by Airports Council International and is based on the total number of passengers flying in 2023. Atlanta tops the list for the second year in a row with 104.7 million passengers in 2023. Dubai Airport follows in second with 87 million passengers, and Dallas-Fort Worth is third with 81.8 million. The other 3 U.S. airports that made the top 10 are Denver in 6th, Los Angeles in 8th, and Chicago in 10th. Denver had clocked in its busiest year ever in 2023 with over 70 million passengers. Globally, the report says there was a rise of 27% from 2022 in the number of passengers with around 8.5 billion. Jason Blair, NTD News.
Now let's pivot to sports, where a groundbreaking development is making waves in the world of college athletics. Get ready to hear about Fedex's monumental $25 million investment in Memphis sports. NTD's Carlos Reyes has more on the story.
In a move that's shaking up college sports, Fedex just dropped a whopping $25 million bombshell to back name, image, and likeness NIL deals at the University of Memphis. If you're not familiar, NIL basically means athletes could cash in on their own brand, scoring endorsements, and other opportunities they've been dreaming of. That's a whole lot of cash spread over the next 5 years, aimed at boosting key sports like football, men's and women's basketball, and other sports on campus. Teaming up with Altia sports partners, Fedex isn't playing small ball here. They're making their mark right out of the gate with NIL initiatives kicking off at the Memphis spring football game this upcoming Saturday. Memphis Athletic Director Laird Veach is signing Fedex's praises, saying this move could be a game changer for student athletes. But this isn't just about Memphis, it's about setting a new standard in college athletics. Other companies might have dabbled in NIL deals, but Fedex is going all in, showing what's possible when big corporations get behind student athletes. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Memphis was left out in the cold last time around when 4 fellow AAC schools scored invites to power conferences during the last round of realignment. While neighboring rivals were able to score deals with more desirable conferences in order to draw in more cash, the Tigers had to find a solution quickly or face the consequences. But Memphis isn't throwing in the towel. With Fedex now in their corner, they're eyeing a comeback that could shake up the game. For Memphis, this could be the boost they need to get back into competitive collegiate play. Even though they missed out on some big conference invites recently, they're not backing down. Carlos Reyes, NTD News.
A circus elephant escaped her confines after the sound of a vehicle startled her. She walked around town stopping traffic before going back into her trailer.
The sound of a vehicle backfiring spooked a circus elephant while she was getting a pre-show bath in Butte, Montana. It caused her to break through a fence and take a brief walk, stopping noontime traffic on the city's busiest street before being loaded back into a trailer. Viola, an Asian elephant with the Jordan World Circus, still participated in 2 performances Tuesday after her time on the lam in the southwestern Montana city of about 35,000 people. According to the Butte Civic Center manager, Viola was getting a bath behind the center just after noon on Tuesday when she was startled. She went through a kind of rickety fence and got out onto Harrison Avenue, a 4-lane street, stopping traffic and causing folks to pull out their cell phones to take video. Town pump surveillance cameras caught images from several angles of the elephant walking down the street in front of the building and plodding through the parking lot with a trainer beside her. She then moved to a residential lawn where she started eating some grass. People with the circus drove a trailer over with another elephant inside. They put the ramp down and she walked back in. The whole ordeal lasted about 10 minutes. Viola and the Jordan World Circus had performances scheduled Wednesday in Helena.
No way.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. A bombshell drop from the director of FBI. Chinese hackers have infiltrated U.S. critical infrastructure and are preparing to attack when time is right. More on that on China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful weekend.